Hello everyone, Freedom Watchdog here, thank you for tuning in. There's been quite a few articles come out recently from the mainstream media and they're talking about how things are getting better, the economy's booming, it's recovering well, and now they come out saying that the public borrowing has fell. In other words, the government aren't spending as much. Well, that's true, but they're only giving you the half truth, so I'm going to explain to you what's really going on behind the scenes and why it's not as rosy as what they're making it out to be. So let's have a closer look. So let's get into this article here by The Guardian. UK public borrowing falls despite fuel crisis and supply chain issues. Public sector borrowing for the first 6 months of the 2021-22 year fell to 108.1 billion, down by 101.2 billion in April to September 2020, but roughly triple the level before the pandemic. Triple the level, so that shows you where we're at. Let's carry on here. Tax revenues were especially strong as income tax receipts jumped by 9.2% on the previous year and VAT by 4.5%. Overall, the government receipts were 62.3 billion, 6.2 billion more than in September 2020, while spending fell 1.3 billion to 84.1 billion. Now those tax receipts have rose up so much because of all the deficit spending. They're just getting back the money, or some of the money that they've pumped into the economy themselves. It's not as a result of significant output in the workforce, people working harder, people producing more goods. It's just simply they've put the money in and now they're taking it back out. That's all it is. He said, this is Rishi Sunak. He said, at the budget and spending review next week, I will set out how we will continue to support public services, businesses and jobs while keeping our public finances fit for the future. He says he wants to keep our public finances fit for the future. But over here on Statistica.com, this right here is a chart showing our national debt to GDP. And it goes back right to the 1920s, see? Now, as you can see, right now we're here, it's saying we're actually about 120%, even though it's saying it's 97. But anyway, let's just go with this chart for now. 97% we're at now. As you can see, in the past, we've been right up to 250% almost. Now, this spending here was caused by the Second World War. Now, the reason we was able to climb out of this was because when all the troops returned back from the Second World War, even though there wasn't any jobs to do as per se, there's still things that needed to be done, like essential things like agricultural work, and also back then most of our manufacturing was done in the UK along with mining, so there's a lot of things which they could produce and do which we had in-house in the UK, but unfortunately we don't have any of that anymore. Now, whether you think it's better for the environment, this, that, the other, it doesn't really matter. We don't have anything like that anymore if we do end up climbing up to these dangerous levels again. And we're already at quite a dangerous level now. I mean, call it 100% debt to GDP. They're at a point now where the only thing they can do to pay off the debt is to create inflation, which is something they've always done. But unfortunately now, it's going to get a lot worse, a lot faster as well. Because, like I've explained, we don't have the opportunities that we did back then, thanks to regulation and a number of other things. The chickens are finally coming home to roost because you cannot consume more than you produce, and that's just a fact. You can do it for a certain amount of time, but it's just not sustainable. It doesn't matter how rich a country is. And obviously it's going to be us picking up the bill, because eventually they'll end up printing a lot more money and giving it out because they'll have no choice. They've backed themselves into a corner now, and it'll be us which will be picking up the pieces, paying more for our food, paying more for everything really. Now, this is something that's going to affect people that fall into the lower income bracket more than the middle class and the wealthy or rich. It will also affect the middle class as well eventually. But if you're spending a higher percentage on food and other consumables which you need in comparison to, you know, the middle class or the wealthy, then this is going to affect you more so, at least at the start. And this is how we pay for it. This is how we're paying for everything, through inflation. They're just taking it from your back pocket rather than your front pocket. And what I mean by that is it's a hidden tax. So make sure you read between the lines when you're reading these stories. Make sure you're thinking of the full picture, because they only give you half the picture most of the time. And as I say, we'll have to see how bad this thing gets. There's a lot of worrying things happening at the moment, you know, with prices rising, energy costs rising. I've done several videos about that, so if you want to check them out, then feel free to do so. There's quite a lot going on. Products are going to rise, and of course now they're talking about raising up wages, which is a good and a bad thing. It's going to also make prices go even higher, so it's just an endless circle of inflation, which is what we're finding ourselves in right now. If you got value from this video, please make sure you like and comment and subscribe if you're not already. But please do like the video, it helps other people be made aware of this important information. It's crucial that as many people know what's going on as possible and why the system is like it is. It's fundamentally broken in several ways. So make sure you're aware of this, make sure you do things which will protect your wealth, make sure you're aware so you can maybe alter the way you spend, the way you think about money, because it doesn't look pretty the next few years on the economic front, so make sure you're prepared. Thank you for watching.